Hello and welcome to FYI with Barry ZeVAN. I am Barry ZeVAN, big deal. And not really.
Did you say you were a big deal?
My guest just spoke.
I love it.
The actual speaking guest,
Sorry.
off camera. It's all right,
Quiet,
it's all right.
Rusty.
Yeah, it is a big deal to welcome my dear friend, Rusty Gatenby, well known to Twin Cities viewers. Of course, this is seen thanks to CCX Media all over the world on YouTube. And if you're not familiar with Rusty, shame on you. Not really. No, Rusty used to be was the traffic reporter for KSTP-TV here in the Twin Cities, and also had worked with Steve and Sharon on, was it Good Company?
Good Company,
Good Company, yeah.
So my career here in the market began in 1983.
Wow.
So it was the first year of Good Company. And my first job was, they said, here, put on this tuxedo and join this party that's celebrating the first anniversary of Steve and Sharon's return to the cities and Good Company. And I thought, wow, you're paid to wear a tuxedo? Sure, I'll do that.
I love it. Rusty, a lot of people are not familiar that you're born and bred in the Twin Cities, correct?
Went to junior high at Wayzata High School, or Wayzata Junior High, and high school at Wayzata. Grew up in the Wayzata area, then started my family in Minnetonka. Now, if you went to Wayzata High School, you did not like Minnetonka skippers. Hated them. And now all my kids are skippers.
Oh,
so I've come around. My son was able to be part of the football team that went to the state championship this year, getting ready for lacrosse. So yeah, I'm a West Metro kind of guy. Still live out in Minnetonka.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought so much joy, not only to the traffic reports, but of course you were the entertainment editor too.
Segued into that, yeah. That which was my doing. You know, once your foot's in the door, and that's the beautiful thing about KSTP. It's a non-union shop. Mm-hmm. You know, other shops in town, if it's just union, you can't touch the camera. You can't touch the editing room. Well, I was able to touch it all. And then they saw, as I started to present things, well, hey, give the kid a shot. I directed some shows, I shot some stories, I edited, and then I was actually the first helicopter traffic reporter in this market. They were coming up with, they had seen it being done in LA, and I think New York maybe was doing it, some bigger markets, but Minneapolis did not have that. They said, we are going to do live traffic helicopter reports, and then I said, I'll do that. And so away I went. And did I tell you about the audition? Because they had me audition for this.
No.
And your friend, Ted Koppel, was coming in to do a Nightline promo, one of those things where he stands next to our anchor and says, I'm Ted Koppel, be sure you watch Nightline, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Well, I had already had my audition booked for the studio, so Ted Koppel had to wait while I did my traffic audition from a helicopter over 94 in St. Paul. And evidently I did so well because he said to the news director at the time, Mendez Napoli, he said, who is this guy? And Mendez said, that is our new traffic reporter.
Oh, I love it.
So, yeah, he's good. Koppel gave me kind of a compliment. Hey. And thank you, Ted.
That's big.
31 years later, yeah, I had a nice fun ride there.
Oh, yeah, 31 years.
31 years at Channel 5. I was on that morning show for 26 years, the same show for 26 years, and I think that might be a record in Minnesota.
Well,
for the same show.
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ted and I still keep in contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lives in Potomac, Maryland.
Tell him I said hello.
Oh, I certainly will. I'll tell him it's the fellow he
Yeah.
thought was good.
Remember that traffic reporter who bumped you for a moment?
Yeah, I envisioned him not being too happy about being bumped.
Yeah. Well, I think he was, from what the studio crew, who I was part of the studio crew at that time, so they said, yeah, he was kind of peeved that, wait a second, don't they know who I am? It's like, just a minute, Ted, Mr. Koppel, this bozo's going to do an audition, and then we'll do our thing. Yeah, no, it was good.
Can I do a sidebar about Ted?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ted was one of our nearby neighbors in Maryland when I was on TV in Washington, D.C., and he had a great sense of humor.
Oh, really?
And one New Year's Eve, he gave my wife a rickshaw ride up and down his back porch. The porch was at least a quarter mile long. I may be exaggerating, but at least an eighth of a mile long.
In memory, it seems forever.
And he had brought back 2 rickshaws from when he was bureau chief in Hong Kong.
That alone is crazy.
And so, anyway, he actually offered my wife at that time a rickshaw ride on New Year's Eve, and he was the coolie, and she was the passenger. You know, so up and down the porch they went.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I did not get a ride in a rickshaw from Ted.
And that story, by the way, is in my shameless plug book.
Good book.
And, thank you, Rusty. Appreciate it.
You know, because you mentioned the show is available on YouTube around the world, you and I actually have a project involving this book on YouTube.
That's right.
Where you just got a little teaser out there. Search for it. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Yeah, well, it's a heck of a story. You
you,
should read that book sometime, Barry.
Thank
it's
you.
pretty good.
Well, I started, and then I thought, wait a minute, these words are too familiar to me.
It's deja vu all over again.
And I was very happy to list you in the acknowledgments as one of the people who had been nice to me.
Yeah.
I did not list any of the people who had been bad, because that would have taken another book.
A whole leather book.
Oh,
well, yeah, and I mentioned in the little YouTube teaser that we put together that I watched you growing up, and I immediately was attracted to what you were doing because, you know, as a kid, seeing an adult break the rules, and it appeared to me you were kind of stretching the rules, breaking the fourth wall even.
Yeah.
And so I immediately, well, TV was a bigger thing back then. Local TV and news especially it was a much bigger deal because there wasn't the internet or a phone to distract. So you were like, in my growing up eyes, you know, on par with the people you'd go to the movies, you'd watch TV, you know, that equal amazement.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
It was very cool.
God bless you. Yeah. Well,
So I stole a lot of your stuff.
a little bit. I never noticed that, really.
Well, here's what I took when I started to do TV, and I never set out to do TV. That was not my thing.
I was going to ask how this all evolved, how it happened.
Yeah, and that was not my thing. I thought I would be a writer and a director. I wanted to be Spielberg, you know, go out to Hollywood. So when the TV thing happened, when I got the, you know, experience at KSTP and was able to do a bunch of different things and then got to be on camera in the helicopter, I decided right then and there, I didn't think it was going to last, first of all. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to put on a good morning, 494, there's a stalled vehicle and the traffic is, I'm going to do it like this. I'm just going to do it like Rusty, and then I'm going to try and have fun, and if it's Easter, I'm going to be up there with an Easter basket. And if it's Christmas, guess what? There's a Christmas tree in the helicopter. And I'm just going to do it like this. I'm not going to... Yeah, so that also clicked, and I stole, I think, that personality idea from you, of just be yourself and, you know, don't be afraid and have fun, for God's sakes.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad I could do
Yeah.
it.
The helicopter crashed, by the way.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 4 years into it. That's why we stopped doing live helicopter reports, and that's why probably why I think a couple other TV stations tried it for a moment, but 4 years in, and keep in mind, we flew every day, winter, you know, visibility would ground us. That was about it, but otherwise we flew in rain, summer was better, winter, but anyway, this was summer, and we were over 494 and 100. And there used to be the Camelot restaurant was right down there.
Sure.
My pilot, Lon Hubotowicz, he had just done auto rotation training because of insurance. They make you do it. It's where you practice crashing your helicopter. And he's like, you want to feel what auto rotation's like? I said, sure. This was like literally the week before it was real. So what you do when the helicopter loses its engine, you take it out of gear and you force it toward the earth. Opposite of what you'd think you'd want to do, right?
Yeah.
You now force it to go down so that the blades, centrifugal force, keeps those blades going, and then just before you hit, you flare out the blades and you land. That's how it works on paper. Now when it's real world, it's a little more intense. Yeah. So sure enough, we're in a commercial break. I have a toggle switch where I can broadcast, I can talk to the studio, or I can talk to Lon, you know, and say, hey, Lon, we're on at like 5, and then I could talk to the studio. We're over 494 and 100, and then I can put it into broadcast mode so I could talk to Bob Bruce and Wendy Lubavitch. Engine blows, it's silent, dead silent. Oh my God. I look over to Lon, and his eyes are wide open, and I'm like, okay. And I see him force us down. My little notepad on my lap, 0 G's, starts to float up. I go to the station, I toggle back, we're going down. I go to Lon, now I see him looking at all the stuff, and I know I'm gonna help him out. I go, we got a parking lot, dead ahead. We got a parking lot, dead ahead. We're dropping 100 feet a second.
Oh my God. We're
600 feet in the air, so this is all over in like 6 seconds. It felt like 20 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And just before we hit, I see we have high wires. We have high wires, not normal telephone pole wires, but the bigger, taller industrial wires. So we had to flare up, lose some of our, felt like by inches, we maybe missed it by a foot or two, floated over the wires, and then dove back down into the parking lot. I thought, all right, I'm gonna get cut up, the glass is gonna explode, my legs are gonna get broken, but I think I'm gonna live. And we hit, and the doors blew off.
Oh my God.
And I wasn't, not a scratch.
Wow.
And I looked over to Lon, not a scratch. And I said, high five me. He's like, I just totaled the helicopter. I said, forget that. High five me right now.
We're living.
Yeah, we're living. And the people said we were actually on fire on the way down.
Oh my God.
And it was mainly under the helicopter. When we hit, we actually put the fire out. And then we walked away. And then I went to the studio. It did reports from the studio.
Oh yes.
So anyway.
Oh my God.
There's my little helicopter story for
What
you.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
And that was 4 years in, so then for another 22 years, I continued to broadcast on the show from all parts, from the Disney cruise ship, from Cirque du Soleil in Las Vegas, live, you know, from Rome, from all over the place. Hollywood, of course.
I remember your Rome adventure with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, nice guy.
Yeah, I had the pleasure to interview him a few times too. You and I have trod that path. Not at the same time, but
one of the nice guys. Well, I don't know, maybe briefly, because there was when you were with CARE, you were doing some of that still, right?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
So we would have
maybe for a moment.
Yeah. I didn't recall seeing you at the hotel.
I probably was too bashful.
Rusty Gatenby bashful. Is that in here? I don't know.
You never know.
Hey, listen, actually, you're a very nice person. You're a very caring person.
Yes.
And
I mean, yes.
One of your friends has really made it big.
Yeah.
And he's won how many Emmys?
Oh boy. Well, I know his show, his current show, tied a record for best comedy 5 years in a row. They won the Emmy Award for best comedy, and that was Modern Family,
which he co-created.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Steve Levitan, and we went to college together, and we wrote stuff together in college, and so I thought maybe we'd keep writing and meet up in Hollywood. I got involved with Channel 5, and he actually started, he went to Madison, Channel 27. He was doing local TV for a heartbeat as well.
Wow.
And then his path he was more bold than I. He went to Hollywood and Frasier, he won the Gary Shandling show, that's being talked about now. Just Shoot Me was a show that he created with David Spade, so yeah.
Wow.
But the great thing about him is when we get together, because we've known each other all these many years, he's been to all my weddings.
12 weddings?
No.
15?
No.
92?
Third time's the charm, all right? And he's one of those guys that when we get together, it's like we were never apart and we can talk and be the same. And yeah, and I'm going to be seeing him shortly. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But you told me that it hadn't always been smooth sailing because he had created some other shows and they didn't make it. Is that correct?
Right, yeah. And he talks about that too, where the success of Just Shoot Me, I mean, in the TV world, when you make it past the 5th season, you really want 6, 7, or 8, because then syndication becomes, you know, hey, oh, jackpot, because then you get, so Just Shoot Me had done that. So he had won, you know, the lottery in that regard. He had a huge success financially. And then the other studios said, all right, what else you got, Mr. Successful Guy? And he came up with, I forget the number, but I think 6, 9 shows that didn't quite catch on. One of them was with Pamela Anderson called,
Oh my gosh.
she played a librarian, and the name of the show was Stacked. Pamela Anderson? Yeah, I get it?
This was a family show.
It's a librarian. He has, by the way, a great commencement speech for the University of Wisconsin-Madison last year on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he talks about his struggles and about how he almost gave up, you know, figured, lightning's out of the, you know, I can't catch lightning in a bottle again. And he said, by golly, I'll do one more. I'll try one last time. You knocked me down all these many times now, making me feel like I could never do it again. And it was Modern Family. His biggest hit to date.
Yeah.
So, and they're going into their 9th season. I think they're going to,
Wow.
I think maybe they're going to do 10. I don't know. I'll find out when I talk to my friend Steve Levitan.
Yes. This summer.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah. No,
You
he's
are
a
lucky.
great guy.
That's marvelous. Yeah, and it's wonderful that people like that who have really made such mega success still are like human beings. There are some who are not,
Right.
as you know.
Yeah, and I think it can be easy probably to lose when money is, no, what do you say? You don't have to worry about it. And people say, yes, you're great, and you can mess with your head. Some of the things when I get together with Steve and a couple of other buddies, Love Boat, we call him, very successful lawyer. We call him Love Boat. Tuck, another successful guy. When we get together, we're able to keep it real, as they say. And, we talk about families and parenting and being a good guy. And then we also give each other a lot of crap, including Steve. We give Steve a lot of crap.
I love it.
Probably because no one else does when you're in his position, You got a lot of yes people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Steve. Yes, Steve. Yes, Steve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so when you decided to get into broadcasting, what was the magic moment? I mean, what was it?
Graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Thought it was, started writing stuff, scripts and stuff, but just needed to start earning some money so I could get out of mom and dad's house. And I applied to every creative job opportunity here in town. I wanted to build up a nest egg before I, Hollywood or bust. So I applied to Channel 5 and everywhere else. I applied to all the ad agencies, Ford, 9, 11, CCO, and 5 was the only one who said, hey, we got a job. I don't even think they have the job these days. It was like the assistant to the floor director. It was like the lowest rung on the ladder. And I said, sure, thinking, what a way to spend the summer. Why not? And Steve said, oh yeah, guess what? I'm working at Channel 27 in Madison. I said, well, there we go. We're both starting off in TV, and then we'll see you in Hollywood. And again, he went to Hollywood.
Well, you'll be there.
Yeah.
Now, you and he may be creating some things together too.
Well, that's always been my hope. I've pitched him scripts, and he's liked some of my ideas, has been positive about the screenwriting, so we'll see. When the show wraps up, he's going to have some free time. I've always said, I should write a movie.
Oh,
He's come close too, he's come close to directing movies, so I would love to, I got a script, he's read it, he said he liked it, and I would like to brush it up again and revisit it. It actually involves, I don't want to say too much, but when I wrote it, Hollywood technology wasn't advanced enough, and now it is. I actually got a chance to run this idea by James Cameron. I was out at the Avatar world premiere, and there was a cocktail party, and I said, here's a script I wrote, and he's like, this is brilliant. I said, is technology there yet? He said, it's there.
Well, he should have volunteered then to direct and produce and so forth.
Yeah,
What's the matter with that guy?
He's a little busy.
Yeah, I remember.
As is Steve.
The only thing I remember, and we're comparing interviewing notes here a little bit, but I interviewed him for one of his films, and I always did my homework as to where they were from and so forth and so on. Well, I had worked for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation for a year, and he is from a town in Ontario named Kapuskasing. And I said, "You're from Kapuskasing, Ontario." And his eyes got big, and he said, "That's wonderful. You did your homework." I said, you know how to pronounce it. You know?
Where the heck is that?
When you work for the CBC,
they
give you a pronunciation guide.
Yeah.
And and there are no more, as my boss said at one time, he said, "I don't want to hear any outs and abouts. It's out and about."
Really?
You know.
Really?
And a couch is a Chesterfield, and so forth and so on.
Because your friend Peter Jennings, he didn't have a Canadian accent.
No.
He had a very erudite Anglo pronunciation, so he had to work on that.
He had to work on his outs and abouts.
Yeah?
Yes, he did, yeah. Peter was born in Ottawa, and his father was either president or chief executive officer, whatever, of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And so that's how Peter got started. He started when he was 9 years old. I always tease him because I started when I was 5. but anyway, just the sweetest man in the world. But anyway, Peter was so non-erudite as far as being down to earth. Just the sweetest human being.
Yeah, because he sounded so polished and so perfect.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this business is certainly a business that people don't realize all the ins and outs of every part of it. I mean, and people who struggle their entire lives to want to get to a certain point, and it is who you know, not what you know, quite a bit of the time.
Yeah.
But it's also being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And George Schlatter told me one time, pardon me for interjecting here some stories. Some are in my book, by the way.
You wrote a book? Hey, everyone, he wrote a book.
Anyway, George Schlatter, who created Laugh-In, we became kind of friends.
Yeah.
And he told me once, he said if it wasn't for his wife, he never, ever would have gotten to the point where he would meet all the people who would give him a break. And he was a bouncer at Ciro's nightclub on Hollywood Boulevard, it's on Sunset Boulevard. It doesn't exist anymore, I don't think. But anyway, but his wife was Ernie Kovac's girl in the bathtub. And so that little bit on television, which was huge in those days, because there wasn't much else to see, and Kovacs, of course, was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But she introduced George to some of these people who were influential in the business.
Sure. And
they said, "Hey, you have a good brain. You're very smart," which he was, and he is. Thank God he's still alive. But it's those kinds of breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maureen O'Hara told me once, this is in the book too, but sorry to be interjecting here.
Hey.
She said, I asked her about talent. She said, sadly, talent doesn't mean anything. It's who says yes to you, to allow you to use that talent. She said, I know so many people in this business who have no talent at all, they got all the breaks. And I just know so many people who have all the talent in the world and they never got any breaks.
Yeah.
So be nice out there. Yeah, be nice.
Steve Edelman was one of the first, Steve Edelman was one of the first that started giving me breaks.
That's great.
The helicopter traffic report, as I said, I would have fun with it, but then Steve tapped me to actually do some more stories, actually front live shots for a Vacation Van giveaway, do movie reviews. He's the one who first got me involved doing movie reviews, and so, because he recognized something. And,
well, you do. You have, we're not blowing smoke here, but it's true. You have a tremendous personality. You come across on the screen as somebody you want to watch. It's the truth. Well, it was proved for all those years you were there. and it just, no, I mean, as a matter of fact, you and I have kind of jokingly discussed, I said, well, why doesn't Steve put you on Modern Family? You'd be a terrific character on Modern Family.
I was a voice. He hired me twice to be a voice on Modern Family.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah. It was if you ever see the Hawaii episode, the two-parter, they always have that little kicker segment at the end of the show. The end of the Hawaii episode, you'll hear the pilot say, "Thank you for flying TWA direct from Honolulu to LA. Sit back and enjoy the flight."
I love
I got
it.
paid $5,000 for that.
Now I'm going to faint.
And then I get residuals.
Oh, my.
And it went on, I think it's, oh man, all told, I think the last check I got was like $40 residual check.
Oh, yeah.
But there was some hefty, because it was fun. Great stuff.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's marvelous. He should have you announcing on every show.
Yeah, well, he hired me again to do a voice the second time as well, but then my main focus, and the reason I was so thankful that I got this morning job, was I'm the father of 4 kids and I wanted to be involved in their life. So this career that I had, how all the fun and excitement and it was, I mean, I'd show up to work going, I can't believe they're paying me. And at some point, you really paid me too much. I couldn't go to Hollywood because being a divorced person at one point, my kids weren't going to be able to go. The mom had, was going to keep the kids here. So I couldn't dream of being separated from my children. So getting this morning gig for 31 years, I was able to be at every dinner, every sporting event, every band recital, and just the together time that
Perfect.
isn't something.
Perfect setup.
Yeah.
You're now on CCO television, right?
Yep.
Tell us about that.
For the last, what are we going on, 4 years maybe? I've been their morning movie review guy. So I continue on with the movie stuff. As we tape, tomorrow is Friday the 13th. So you would think, I like to do theme. If it's Christmas, I'll do Rusty's top 4 Christmas movies or top 4 St. Patrick's Day movies. So for Friday the 13th, no, not scary movies, not doing that. Doing bad luck movies, movies that involve bad luck.
Wow. Even for the people who go to see them, right?
No, some of them are, I think they all have Academy Award tinges to them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Rusty.
Hey, thanks.
I just wish you continued success, and I hope you and I have a little fun success on a podcast, too.
Go check out that YouTube teaser we put together. There's some more to come.
Well, you put it together. Brilliant editing, by the way. Thank you so much.
It's your story.
No, God bless you. Speaking of which, shameless plug time once again. And one of the stories in the book, and by the way, you can get it on Amazon. It's called BARRY ZeVAN, My Life Among the Giants. I was very honored to have Vice President Mondale and Sam Donaldson, among others, endorse it, and my friend Rudy Maxa, who has been on this show. One of the stories in there is how the I Love Lucy candy factory scene was created. I got to know the writers, Bob Carroll Jr. and Madeline Pugh Davis, who I later learned wrote so many other shows too. And the story of how that happened is kind of fascinating. Another thing happening by accident. The best things in life happen by accident or divine intervention, which I'd prefer to believe.
Do you know he wrote a book? He wrote a book, people.
Thanks, Rusty. Thanks, my friend, and we'll see you next time.